Hi kids, I'm firefighter Corey with Mendota Heights Fire Department, and this is Junior Firefighter Snuffer. We're here today to talk to you about fire safety at home. So let's begin by talking about the 3 P's of fire safety, Snuffer. What are the 3 P's of fire safety?
So we have 3 P's. Our first P is prevent. Our second one is plan, and the third is practice.
Great job, Snuffer. Okay, so let's talk about prevent. That's the first one, right?
Correct.
What does prevent mean for fire safety at home?
Well, prevent means to stop a fire before it even starts.
Great answer. Can you think of some things? Snuffer, I want you to take a minute and think of some things that you can do at home to prevent a fire from starting. And while Snuffer's thinking, you guys at home, I want you to think about some things that you can do to prevent fires from occurring in your homes. Okay, Snuffer, can you give me some examples, some things you would do to prevent a fire from starting in your home?
Well, the biggest one that I think of is I never cook without an adult at home.
That's a great answer. Never want to cook without an adult at home, okay? And how about playing in the kitchen? Do you think, Snuffer, is it okay for you to play in the kitchen near a stove or an oven?
No, it's not. We should not be playing next to the stove.
No, that's a bad idea. How about electrical outlets? Do you think it's okay to plug like 8 different things into one electrical outlet?
No, it's also very dangerous.
Right, fires can begin that way. Let's talk about some flammable objects, flammable items near hot things, right? Do you think it's okay to put mail or paper or cloth dish rags or anything near a stove?
No, that's also very dangerous as well.
Okay, how about heaters, fireplaces, lamps? Is it okay to put those things near those either?
No, I would not recommend it. It's quite dangerous.
Okay, and here's a big one, Snuffer. How about matches and lighters? Do you think it's ever okay to touch or pick up matches or lighters?
No, that is the biggest no-no you can do. Do not play with those.
Right, and so for all the kids at home, I want to make sure you all understand, please don't ever pick up matches or lighters, okay? Tell an adult, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more later. So how about preventing injury? Like avoiding burns by never playing near a stove or fireplace, that's a good idea, right?
Correct.
Not to do those things?
I would not recommend those.
So that's preventing an injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we talked about preventing it as stopping it before it ever happens, right?
Correct.
Right, okay. How about making sure you have working smoke detectors in your home?
Yes.
Is that a good idea? Does that fall under prevention?
Yes, that does.
Right.
It's a great point, Corey.
Right, and we're going to talk a little bit more about smoke detectors later. How about who would do maintenance on a smoke detector, like checking a smoke detector? Who would do that? A kid or an adult?
I would say an adult. An
Right.
adult is the most important person to talk to when it comes to those things.
Right, but you know what? For all you at home, it's a really good idea. You're the ones that get to remind the adults, okay? Mm-hmm. So make sure you do. Okay, so we already talked about our first P. What's our second P?
Our second P is plan.
Okay, what is a plan?
Well, a plan is knowing what to do if your house catches on fire.
Okay, so Snuffer, let's talk about an escape plan. So we should have how many ways out of every room?
We should have 2.
Okay, and then when the smoke alarm sounds, what do we need to do?
We need to get out immediately.
Okay, and then where do we go once we're out of our house?
Well, we have designated spots, which could be a big tree in your yard, or it could be a mailbox out front.
Okay, great.
So hey, firefighter Corey.
Yeah.
How about meeting at a fire hydrant? Is that a good spot to be at?
Well, while some of you may have a fire hydrant in your front yard, a fire hydrant is actually not a very good spot to have for a meeting place, because once we get called to come to the fire, that's going to get really busy there, and it's going to be very dangerous. So we'd like you to not use a fire hydrant as a meeting place.
Great.
And then what do you think we want to do once we're safely at our designated meeting spot?
You should call 911.
Okay. And then once we're out of the house, should we ever go back in for anything?
No, you should always stay out and let the fire department do their job.
Fantastic. Okay. So now that we've talked about preventing and planning, what else do we need to do? What's the third P we talked about?
Practice.
Practice. Practice, right. Do you play sports, Snuffer?
I love sports.
You do? Okay. What kind of sports do you play?
I play football, baseball, and basketball.
Boy, you're busy for a Dalmatian. So, do you have to practice at that?
Well, we practice almost every day.
And why do we practice?
Because practice makes perfect.
Right. We practice as firefighters, too. So, practice makes perfect. Practice makes good habits, right? So, what are we practicing?
You're practicing like your escape route.
Okay, and how many times a year do you think we want to do that, Snuffer?
We do that, you should do that twice per year.
Twice per year, exactly. And then when we're practicing, as we're leaving the house, what do we want to practice doing with our doors?
You want to close your doors on the way out, but Firefighter Corey, why do we do that?
Well, Snuffer, we do that to keep the smoke from spreading, smoke and flames from spreading faster.
Oh, I never knew that. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what do we do if we see smoke while we're getting out? Can we breathe smoke in?
No, you shouldn't breathe the smoke, but you should stay as low as possible.
And crawl out, right?
Crawl out, correct. Like
Right.
on all fours, like a dog.
Like a dog, just like Snuffer does. Okay, so, and we always, obviously, we want to always choose the safest route out of the house, correct?
Correct.
Do you think jumping out of a second floor window is safe?
No, Firefighter Corey, I think that's quite dangerous, actually.
No, so what should we do if we can't get out through one of our two ways out of every room? What if our windows are our only option?
Well, if you're at the window, you should try and open it and then find a t-shirt, a colored t-shirt, and wave it around or scream as loud as you can and wave your arms like this.
Right, exactly, because we're gonna see that, and we have ladders and all kinds of things to get you out of there. So jumping out of a window is never a good idea. And then once we've planned everything, when we practice, we want to discuss this with our family, right?
Correct.
Because everybody has to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's always very important. So like at dinner, if you need to talk about it or go over your plans, you can talk about it with your parents or your family.
So everybody's on the same page. So, if you guys have any questions about what we're talking about today, you can go ahead and contact your local fire department for any further information, okay? So, now that we've discussed all this, let's do a fire safety quiz, okay? We've got a lot of smart girls and boys at home that are easily going to get this. So, first thing we'll talk about is what's the difference between a tool and a toy?
Well,
Snuffer, can you tell me what a tool is?
Well, Firefighter Corey, a tool is something that an adult would use, while a toy is something that our smart girls and boys would play with.
Right, very good. Okay, so what are some examples of some tools?
Well, some tools that adults use are like an axe. We've talked about a stove. Matches and lighters are considered a tool, but kids shouldn't play with those, correct?
Right, right. How about toys?
Well, you got video games, you've got bikes, and you've got like stuffed bears.
And those are okay to play with, right?
As a kid, oh, I highly recommend it.
Great. Okay. So what do we do if we find tools, especially matches and lighters?
You need to tell an adult as soon as you find them and not touch them.
Okay, right, exactly. And that's something I want to really stress to our girls and boys at home, is never, never, never touch matches or lighters. Leave them alone and tell an adult right away. Are stoves and ovens hot or are they cold?
They are very hot.
Right, we should always treat them as if they're hot and turned on. So how far away should we be if an adult's cooking in the kitchen?
If an adult is cooking in the kitchen, Firefighter Corey, you should stay at least 3 feet away.
Great. And then here's a tough one. Here's a really tough one. I don't know if anybody's going to get this. But what do we do if our clothes catch on fire?
If your clothes catch on fire, you should stop, you should drop, then roll and cover your face.
Why do we cover our face, Snuffer?
Well, so your face doesn't get burnt.
Very good. That's great. That's great. So what do we do if we hear a smoke alarm at your house?
If you hear a smoke alarm, firefighter Corey, you should get out immediately.
Right, get out and
And
stay out and get to
stay.
your designated meeting place and then call 911. Great. How many ways out of every room should we have?
Well, firefighter Corey, we've mentioned this a lot. You should have
Right.
2.
2 ways out of every room. And here's the last question. Do you know your home address?
Firefighter Corey, I know my home address. Our home address is 2121 Dodd Road.
Very good. You boys and girls at home, I want you to ask an adult about what your address is if you don't already know it. And then when you call, if you ever have to call 911, it's okay to tell the person on the phone what your address is. So, we've pretty much wrapped it up. Let's review a few things. Let's talk about the 3 P's again.
3 P's. The first one is prevent, the second one is plan, and the third one is practice, practice, practice.
Great. Thanks for joining Snuffer and me today. Have a fun and safe summer.